Hey everybody, Ketwalski here, checking in with another one of our hashtag Star Trek discussions video. Today I'm going to address a really popular fan theory that's been floating around the internet really since Generations came out, which is Picard stuck inside of the Nexus? Or really, is anybody stuck inside the Nexus? Do you ever actually leave the Nexus? Now this is a really interesting idea, and I like the concept, but I'm not a big fan of it, but I do want to go ahead and present the argument for, and then I'm going to kind of provide evidence against that. Okay, so the first thing we're going to look at is a post made by Jeremiah Kleckner. Now, he, or she, I don't really know, puts together a very small and concise argument for this concept. And he also goes ahead and references several detailed posts that were also done on Reddit by several different fans that also believed this particular theory. But I want to read a few of the concepts that are addressed here in the argument, and then I'm going to kind of blow them all out of the water, unfortunately, because I would love for this theory to be real, but it's not. Okay, so it says, in Star Trek Generation, Picard was taken by the Nexus before a shockwave destroyed the planet and everyone else on it. Talking about Viridian 3. I should also maybe mention that this is going to be a little bit of a spoiler alert for Star Trek Generations. So if you haven't seen the video yet, definitely go and check out a different video on the channel, and then maybe get your life in order and go watch friggin' Star Trek Generations. Thank you. So it says that the Nexus allows whoever's in it to live out their fantasies in their own timelines, in their own realities, and allows them to create it based off of whatever they want. This is initially projected into some kind of really weird, bizarre Christmas Carol lifestyle that Jean-Luc Picard apparently wanted. Deep down, I don't know, it was really weird, and some weird things where they kept calling him Papa, and it was all very strange. So he actually rejects this reality and teams up with Captain James T. Kirk, who's busy chopping wood in the forest, and they go and punch Sauron in the face, and they save the day, supposedly. Now, this person is proposing that you never actually leave the Nexus. Instead, the Nexus tricked Picard into thinking that he left the Nexus, and that in order for him to remain in the Nexus, it actually became almost kind of self-aware in that it was no longer super perfect or in an exact fantasy. It has its flaws, in which people die, including James T. Kirk dies, and subsequent films, including Star Trek First Contact, Insurrection, and Nemesis, deal with Picard dealing with his own psyche, whether that's dealing with a younger version of himself in Star Trek Nemesis, prolonging his own aging process and dealing with his own mortality, which was in Insurrection, and in First Contact, where he gets to deal with the unresolved issues of dealing with the Borg. Now, that's what this fan is basically saying, that all these different layers or different fantasies that Picard is going through in order to deal with a lot of the issues that he himself is facing as an individual in regular time and space. Now, why do I feel like this doesn't work? Well, let's break this kind of down a little bit. Well, first off is Picard had no idea that the Enterprise D had been attacked by the Klingon bird of prey, and that they lost control over it in spectacular fashion and crashed it onto Viridian 3. So the visuals that we see inside of Picard's supposed mind, where everybody on the Enterprise D is on the planet and everyone is fine, would have never happened. If it was in fact Picard's fantasy, he would have simply defeated Sauron, Kirk would have died, and then he would have beamed back to the Enterprise that would have been still in orbit, because he had no idea that the Enterprise had been destroyed and crash landed on the planet, unless the Nexus, for whatever reason, was a cognizant being and fed that information to him subconsciously, so that's why he actually was able to project that. There's no evidence to suggest any of those things occurred. What's more likely is that he was in fact stuck in the Nexus and then left with James T. Kirk. Now, another thing that people like to reference, which is this sequence right here in the film, where Picard meets up with a Guinan, a figure of Guinan, inside of his weird Christmas Carol universe that he's existing in his creepy fantasy, with all of these weird kids that call him Papa. And she states that she is an echo of the person that he knows, that we all know as Guinan from the TNG series. Now, a lot of fan theories also point that this is what happens when you leave the Nexus. You can leave, but a part of you stays behind. So, oh, well, Picard technically did leave, but part of him always remained inside of the Nexus. I'm going to disagree with this point as well, because Ronald D. Moore has gone on record as saying that the reason that there's an echo of Guinan inside of the Nexus is because of the events that occurred at the beginning of the film, where she was transported off of the refugee ship while half of her was still stuck inside of the Nexus. So because she was living in two realities, a temporal reality and prime reality, when they beamed her apart, part of her remained. And it's actually very plausible that everybody else that they saved, all the other Elorians, including Dr. Soren, all of them have an echo still inside of the Nexus, along with whoever else is inside of there. Now, it is interesting to think about how many people are stuck inside the Nexus in both realities. I don't know how many people there are, but it is an interesting concept. Anyways, that kind of wraps up today's discussion video. Like I said, I don't put too much stock into this idea. There's just too many bizarre things. There's just too many reasons for it not to have actually worked. I love the idea. I wish it did function, but unfortunately the situation specifically with the Enterprise D crashing onto the planet, Picard had no way of knowing that, and thus, in my opinion, completely disparages this entire theory and puts this one right into the trash dumpster. I'm sorry for the people that actually do believe in it. I'm curious to hear what you guys and gals think about this. Do you disagree with my assessment of this? Do you believe that this is in fact what's going on and that Picard never left the Nexus? Or do you think that this is just kind of a bizarre fan theory that's nice but is not very plausible? I'm really curious to hear what you guys and gals think about this video. Please throw a like and a subscribe up on YouTube. Follow me on Twitter at RealCatWalski. And follow me on Facebook at Facebook.com at RealCatWalski. And live long and prosper, my Trekkies!